Okay, I want to talk about secessionists next. Secessionists. Now, if you live outside of Texas, I have no idea if this is a thing where you live. Texas Cup again. Excuse me. If you live outside of Texas, I have no idea. This could be a uniquely Texas thing, and I would believe it if it was. But there is a secessionist movement in Texas that is pretty strong. I've never, like, I've always like felt like, yeah, like I'm born and raised here, and you're given like this pride of the state of Texas that exceeds even the pride that most people have for the United States of America. Like, Texans really feel special, and Texas feels like a special place. And to a certain degree, I think there's some truth to that. This is not a normal state like so many other states in the country. There's something special here, and I'm leery to say that too much, because I'm not sure to the degree, like what degree I'm just, speaking from indoctrination, or that it might actually really be a little bit different here. I kind of think it's probably a little bit of both. As far as the secessionist movement, like, it feeds and feels great to that side of me that's like, raw, Texas is awesome. Texas needs to get away from the communist states of America, But if I back up and divest myself from the statist pride of Texas, I can think and I can see, like, it might be terrifying. It might be really bad, because there's a lot of religious fascism. I'm using that word. Like, there's like the traditional fascism, which means Nazis, right? But then there's like fascism, which just means people that want to control and govern how you live your life in an area. And that's what I mean by fascism. Like, there's a strong religious, this is how people need to behave. These are the things that you shouldn't do or say. And we don't see any problem whatsoever with legislating our religious and personal beliefs into law. And I'm pretty sure that, to some degree, the federal government's control over Texas keeps that in check. And so if Texas were to secede, I fear the influence, the unleashed influence of the far right on the state of Texas legislature and control. And so while generally I'm like in favor of, any kind of, division where, government gets smaller and closer to the people, but it's not without risks, is what I'm saying. The localization thing comes with its own risks, especially in, I'm sure that there would be, an equal amount of fear with California. I'm sure to some extent, somehow, some way, California's insane Marxism is kept in check by the influence of the federal government. And so if they were to secede, I'm pretty sure they would just like instantly self-combust in flaming communist flags before sinking into the ocean and turning it blood commie red. Anyway, so this was an interesting thread that I just wanted to briefly touch on, talking about who wants Texas to secede in the Libertarian Party, in the Libertarian Party group. And there's this dude, I don't want to go into him personally, but he is always an advocate for this secession, because he's in with this group, an Independent Texas, that has a lot of ideas on how it's going to be governed after Texas secedes. And there are multiples of these groups, so I'm not speaking about all Texas secessionists. Though I will say, I have invited at least, not exaggerating, 6 different secessionist types, sovereign citizen types on this show to talk through what they actually believe. And the number of them that have ever had the balls to come on and actually back up the crap that they talk on social media is 0. But this is a quick view into why that stuff can be pretty scary. They're talking about seceding, and this guy says, I agree. But I will add that in order to control Austin is the liberal cancer on Texas's ass. He says, I will add that in order to control Austin, Christians will need to revitalize the Texas militia. So like red flags are just, sorry. Red flags are just fired off all over the place in my head as I read this. And he says, somebody else says non-Christians would be unwelcome. And he says, nope, liberty is not free for anyone living in an independent Texas. Most every able-bodied male, say 16 to 60, will serve. Women can serve as non-combatants. COs will be taken into consideration. Quote, if the people don't like how a particular state operates, they can move to another one where they do. Oh my God, this guy calls himself a libertarian and he uses the line that so many use when you start talking about libertarian principle. Kelby in with the hot take response. Kelby's a supporter of this show, by the way. He says, come and make me serve in your stupid gang. Anyway, so I wanted to point this out because if you got rid of the current central control without first convincing enough of the people of voluntarism, of self-ownership, the non-aggression principle, live and let live, if you haven't convinced enough people, changed enough hearts and minds yet, Texas could become a very, very scary place, as evidenced by this guy who's one of the big promoters of secession in Texas. And if any of you out there that are watching the show, because I know some of you watch the show, come on the show. I challenge you. If you think that you have a way to achieve freedom using the state government, using a new state government, using different magic spells on different pieces of Constitution paper, I challenge you and I invite you to come on the show for a polite debate/conversation. I want to hear about your ideas and I want to challenge you on them, because I think one or both of us will learn something from that conversation. So if you know anybody, send them my invite. Tell them to inbox me. We'll get it done.